Hello, Skoggle here, doing another FOE Training Grounds bottom lane. And what we're going to focus on today is a matchup between Urgot and Janna versus Tristana and Blitzcrank. So before we get into it, let's do what we like to do, and we want to check what the champions are running. So Urgot has 67 AD, 36 armor, 42 magic resist, so he's likely running flat MR. Runes. He's likely running armor, and get the 6 points from his masteries into his armor, and he's running armor and seals. And then with 67, he is more than likely has the 7 from the AD quints and has 15 armor pen. And it's very common for an Urgot to run armor pen because his Q procs use the armor pen, and then of course his auto attacks do. So it's very common. I've seen 25 armor pen, but he wouldn't have as high. He'd be around 60 with his attack damage. So it's likely that's what he's running, is the 15-7 combo. And Janna running no flash, heal exhaust. So if you are going against her, especially with Blitzcrank, you'd know that if you land a grab, you're likely getting a kill. She has 27 armor, she has 30 magic resist. 27 armor and 30 magic resist means she likely does not have any magic resist or magic resist scaling of her glyphs. She's likely running the yellow gold pretend, running blue armor. She's probably running red armor, and she's probably got the, or at least getting the armor out of her masteries with the blue armor and red magic pen. But it's very possible it's red armor. Basically, the main thing you're getting out of that is she's running GP10s and has no flash. So she's a little squishier than she should be and has no flash. So that's what I would take away from that if you were playing against her. Just click on her, see what they have. So you have Tristana with 72, meaning that she is running flat AD since she has boots. She is running AD, AD, AD. Red and quints are AD. She's running yellow armors and blue magic resist flat to have a score as high as 46. And that is what Tristana has with her flash ignite. And let's check out Blitzcrank. Blitzcrank has 37 armor, meaning he's running his armor yellows. 45 blue magic resist, meaning he's running magic resist blues. You can't see anything in the ability power section. He has not very much arm movement, but that's more or less because Gangplank hit him than anything else. So he is likely running gold per 10 out of his quints, and his reds are penetration. So let's continue on with our game and go back to our lane. Our lane, at the beginning, it's a farm fest. Who can out-farm who? But one thing that Urgot has is the ability to zone someone like Tristana. He has his corrosive charge and his hunter, acid hunter, and they just do so much damage that if he can get any sort of move onto Tristana, he can basically zone her and zone her again and zone her again. And that's just what Urgot does. He's more of an anti-AD than an actual AD. He, by the way, is my AD of choice. It's probably because I play bruisers and he can go in the top lane, so I can play him up there if I want to, but he is more or less my AD of choice. He is not. My other one is Graves. I would say I'm better with Urgot. My stomp games are more when I'm Urgot, and a lot of that is just his skill set, what he does. Although that was changed today, and I have yet to have a chance to play him. I ended up with mid today, so I didn't get a chance to play Urgot and try him out with the new remake. It's a higher scaling for his bonus AD, but not he doesn't get all his AD. So I don't know if that's going to change a 25 armor pen change, or if you're going to run more AD so you get the more bonus. I can't imagine you drop the 15 armor pen out of the reds for him. And when you're taking Urgot, you either go 2 points in Q and E, or you take your shield so that you can freeze the lane and win trades a little easier. With Janna's shield, I would have possibly not done that. And real quick, what happened, I'll replay it, is she set a ward and Blitzcrank had bush control. This is the importance of bush control. Right now, they had the ward in the other one and should have seen Blitzcrank enter it. But they weren't paying enough attention, and Blitzcrank gets in there, so when she goes to ward it, Blitzcrank's able to get the grab. They get an easy kill. So now he's got a farm, and he can't be too aggressive because he is by himself with low mana. So as much as he zoned him earlier, at this point, you're fairly stuck. You're going to have to just farm. And when you're playing against Blitzcrank, what he did there, he moved away from the brush, away from Blitzcrank, and tries to keep minions in between him. If you keep the minions in between you and Blitzcrank, it hits the first thing and he grabs a minion. So try to position properly. And this is going to be an important feature of this game. Farming and last hitting at the tower. Right here he missed all three. And you need to work on that skill. Don't panic when it gets to your tower. If you can't farm under your tower, you're going to have situations in every game where you're going to have to. So learn to watch what it's hitting and try to get that one. If you can't get that one, prep the next one. Don't waste your time hitting one that's not going to die. It just won't do you any good. So now Janna's back to lane, and Urgot's now in a little bit better position than is Tristana, as at early levels. Urgot's really strong, and he has 3 points in the Acid Hunter by level 5. You basically are going to max it every time you get, other than if you want to get your first skill in the other point so that you have all your skills available to you. Other than that, you take Q every possibility other than your ultimate. So you take your ult at 6 and you take your Q at 7 and 9 from where we're at. So, looking at the matchup, if he can land that corrosive charge, he'll be good. And here he's going to try to base, but let's remember what Blitzcrank does. And they had a ward in there, and he gets caught. The other problem is, what does Evelyn do? So I'm going to replay this, and you have to remember, I would base against Evelyn, I would go back to your tower. Evelyn's invisible, she can get into all sorts of positions and give them the clue that you're backing, that you want out of here, giving them the perfect opportunity to jump on you. And so against Evelyn, 2 things need to change about your playstyle. Is you need to get pink wards, not green wards. If that had been a pink ward, he possibly could have lived from that. The second thing you need to do is you need to assume she's always in position if you don't know where she is. So don't base in that brush like you would in a standard game. Go ahead and base by your tower. We're going to speed it up and run back out. And now Urgot's behind Tristana because Tristana's got the kill. And Blitz has the 2 assists. So technically, they should be winning. And Tristana actually has 2 kills because she also got the first kill on Janna. And just make sure you're dodging those Blitzcrank hooks. And here, he's going to try to freeze this lane. I don't know about try. He's going to lock on to... Oh, he doesn't try this one. He's going to try later, so that's going to be another thing. And like I said, under the tower and your ability to farm is you have to learn this skill. You're going to have to get good at it. You're going to have to do great at it, really, because this is going to be the time where you're going to get your farm safely in some games. Some games you're just not going to safely farm out extended, as they're just going to kill you every time you do. So what do? You go ahead and learn how to farm under the tower. You get pulled out, but you're by your tower. Janna has that hard CC. You have your hard CC. And you make him burn his flash. So that's good. I'm going to replay this and show the kill. They get a hook, and they think that they have to act on this. And when you are near a tower, you don't always have to act on a hook. At least don't jump in. Had Tristana not jumped in and just fought, she would have been fine. Because now Urgot gets his ult off, switches positions, there comes a tower shot, and one charge gets on, and he's able to easily pick up the kill. He's going to get the shutdown and the 331 gold, and Blitzcrank has no choice but to let Urgot free farm. And so even though he burned his mana to get that, it doesn't matter. And he knew that last time he died because he didn't have a vision ward and was taken out by a stealth unit, so he respawns with a vision ward. That's proper gameplay to adjust in your situation. He should have recognized that Evelyn does that in the first place, but let's be honest, until this new change, no one was playing Evelyn. Now they're trying to get used to her as she's getting remade. We'll see about buffed or nerfed, but she's remade and she's at least usable again. I'll bet she's going to be used a lot, so be ready to buy vision wards while people are going to do this trend, that is, what did Riot just buff or remake? You're going to be seeing Twitch, you're going to be seeing Xin Xiao, you're going to be seeing Evelyn, so get used to it. So they're going to go base and buy because they pushed out to the tower. That's proper gameplay. That's lane management. It's the best time to buy you could have. And so I'm going to pause it for just a second, and I know we're at 10-minute mark, and let's look at gold. Urgot is at 2663 with his 1-1 score, and a 2-1 Tristana is at 2945. So with 60 CS, 61 CS, they're tied, but you have the 2 kills, and they were first. Well, and that 300 difference is the 2 kills. So I'm going to unpause it. We're back out at our laning phase, and we're going to take the gold off. But right now, the 300 is that kill on Janna or the kill on him, depending how you look at it. And so what did we learn? Well, Janna also picks up a vision ward, and you can just see the trading value with your shield and your corrosive charge lands. You will just win trades. I don't think there's an AD carry that can beat Urgot in a trade there. And because he's going for the Glacial Shroud, he gets a chainmail. So now it's just not so scary to take hits from Tristana. And there, I'm going to rewind it just because, well, I'm not going to rewind it for a second. Alright, let's rewind and see what we can take away from this. What we can take away is you just want a big trade. So, typical behavior suggests that they wouldn't be trying to engage you. So I know Evelyn's invisible and all, but let's look at the behavioral pattern here. What are Tristana and Blitzcrank doing? One, Blitzcrank is coming up and he's trying to get something started. The only way they would be doing that is if Evelyn was there. A nice grab from Blitzcrank keeps them in this. But I just want to talk about behavior, especially around with an Evelyn jungle, is what would they be possibly thinking to engage you after you won that last trade so hard? They would be thinking their jungler is there. That's what I would be thinking. And so here they're going to put the chase on, and Blitzcrank's going to sacrifice himself. The reason you would do that right there, I'm going to watch it again and slow it down and talk about it. Okay, your job as the support is to make sure your carry lives. When Nautilus gets in position here, the best possible thing you can do if you can't escape, you both get hit by the, or you both miss the tornado, but he flashes, and what can you do with Gangplank in position 2? Well, you can distract 3 people. You're dying for sure, but guess what? Tristana can get out of there. If they were able to keep chasing, they may have even been able to dive her. Now they'll be taking hits when they're far away from her, and it won't matter. But they're going to get the kill, and that's going to lead to the advantage. What happens with an advantage? You go for Dragon. That is the appropriate response. Gangplank's down here, Morgana's down here. So the response for Darius should be going for that tower, but the response for your team is take Dragon. You just need to know when it's the right time to do different things, and the right time to do Dragon would be when you have that advantage. Your top lane's down here, and you just got a kill on Blitzcrank. They can't possibly contest that. It's 5-on-3 at best, and that's probably just going to get your team a lot of kills. So that's what you do. He runs 4-2-1 QWE at this point, and obviously the 1 point in his ultimate at level 8. And I just thought I'd bring that up. As often as I can remember to do stuff like that, I want to remind people what the 2K Elo plus players are running with their skills. Instead of just reading a guide and hoping you get it right, what are they running when you can see it? And so he gets Tristana trying to trade, locks on, is able to get down a decent amount of damage. It's not a ton. Pulling him in when he's got that armor just got him in position to land his ultimate. And he's able to just really do a ton of damage here because of who he is. And Blitz knew that it was him or Tristana there, and he gives himself up again. So by pulling him in, he gets in range to land his ultimate on Trist, getting Trist in trouble. And it's kind of why, in some ways, it may not be the best idea to Blitzcrank against Urgot. He has his shield, he gets a chainmail, so these tower hit shots aren't even crushing him. And it's just going to get you out of position a little bit. So they're able to pick up Blitzcrank again. That's kind of nice for them. They're doing a good job here of trying to win this lane. And they have the vision wards, so they see Evelyn. Evelyn just took a ton of damage there. and she's just not going to want to keep coming bottom when she can't. That's how you shut down a Twitcher and Evelynn. You don't need to try to ward out like normal. You get pink wards in close. You don't do blue wards out far, because that might work against most people, but it doesn't work against an Evelynn jungle. So it's going to be something people are going to have to adapt to. More pink wards, and they are keeping the brush control and the zone control of this lane. They're afraid of Blitzcrank taking control. And so there you see it. Pink ward, easy kill. If they didn't have a pink ward, that would have been a better situation for Evelynn. And so Janna's able to ult him away. He's able to knock on, and even though Blitzcrank is tanky, the damage coming out is just a lot. That was half his life. He bases because he's low mana, but he has a blue buff, and I don't think he's used to having the blue buff as an AD carry, and they're going to lose the tower in response to him basing. So as soon as this tower goes down, I'm going to pause the game, and we're just going to check out the gold, because that is the end of the laning phase. At this point, they roam, and the laning phase is over. So the laning phase ends with Urgot at 45-22, and Janna at 32-23. And that is quite a bit, and that is why you run the GP10 yellows. You build a couple GP10 items, and next thing you know, you're doing quite well. Blitzcrank's at 24-71, so you're 800 above him, and you only have 2 CS over him. You only have 2 assists over him. And Tristana's at 4,064, so that's a 500 gold win to Urgot. And Tristana got the 2 early kills. The only 2 kills she gets were the 2 early kills, so that that gave him a lead. But Urgot's so strong that it didn't matter. And had Urgot gotten those first 2 kills, it would have been a complete snowball. Let me tell you how those games go. That's just what happens. So the 4-1-82 CS Urgot versus a 2-1-90 CS Tristana. He's got his Berserker's Greaves, Double Dorns, and a Vamp Scepter, and now it's going to be more about roaming than laning. And Tristana's not that far into her build, where the Glacial Shroud, almost getting closer to the Brutalizer, has some tankiness with the Ninja Tabi, and the Double Dorn's Blade is Urgot's going to do more damage in the mid game. Anyhow, that'll do it for this game. We'll be back with the review soon. Alright, time for the review of this game. So what we saw in this game was a lot of stealth and Urgot lane, so an anti-AD and a stealth with Evelynn jungle. So 1, check opponents. Well, Blitzcrank, what did he have? He was likely running a fairly standard gold per 10 quints, some armor, some magic resist, and probably in his red some penetration. And you look at his skills, he's got the knock-up, he's got the shield built in, and he's got his rocket grab. So you have to get bush control against someone like him. You can't just give him free reign to do whatever he wants, because he's going to just do too much damage if you do that. He's going to get a lot of kills. Janna didn't run flash, so you have to be super careful, because he's got exhaust and you don't have flash. There's just nothing you can do. And moving on to Tristana, she had a lot of AD, and so it looked like she was just going to farm. I don't know if that's what this player always does, or because Tristana has a lot of burst and can go for kills if you run armor penetration, but I don't know if that's a good idea against Urgot. And she goes AD to farm, and that could have been a counter to Urgot, as I'll just farm up as best I can because I should outscale him. Or if it was more of the case of Tristana, just that's her style, get big. 6 item Tristana is scary, so if you can farm it up, you can really get scary for late game. And that is what you do when you check them, is try to see what they have. If they have lower AD, they're probably going to attack you. If they have higher AD, they might just be farming, and you can get a little aggressive. 2 Urgot skills. Urgot has a lock-on, a huge range once he locks on with his corrosive charge. It also strips some armor, and his Q, I guess they fixed the nerf, and he's back to doing the full AD damage, and it does a ton of damage. It's a very good skill, and he's got his shield, which is a slow. He's got the hyperkinetic connection, position reverser. Sorry, I can't speak. But that swaps places. He's got very high base stats as far as damage goes, and as far as his tankiness goes. and that is kind of what makes Urgot. And his big thing is with his position reverser, even with the blitz pull, which will happen a lot, he will just catch them out of position. So Tristana jumps, and that is going to be the death of her, because now all she has is flash, and she's underneath the tower because of his position reverser. And he locks on and is able to lock down the kills. He can do tons of damage with those Qs. It does more than an auto attack, and he's auto attacking in between. So it's like, in a way, he has slower attack damage. In a way, he has higher attack damage. So there's the lock, there's the reverser, there's the lock on, and the kill. That's kind of what that clip's showing. The shutdown and a comeback, because he was a little behind at this point because of the getting caught in the brush. So here we're going to show it. What happens again is this is what Urgot brings to the table. Is Blitzcrank lands the grab, and so that's usually bad for the AD carry, but Blitzcrank isn't the standard. He's not what you're thinking of, and he does a ton of damage to Tristana in response and pulls her out of position. And with Nautilus there, with all that CC, it's just an easy kill. So being caught as Urgot can actually be a good thing because of your position reverser. Just the grab and the swap, so that is the grab gives him the positioning without using his flash to catch Tristana. So Tristana's caught just as bad as he is, and then he's able to pick up the kill. So that is what happens with Urgot. 3. Bush control. Bush control is very important, especially against Blitzcrank. When you don't have bush control against Blitzcrank, bad things happen. So they have the first one, and they actually saw him walk into that brush, but they don't have bush control. So Janna's going to try to get it. And if he'd been at the edge of the brush, she would have been okay, but she wasn't, and she doesn't have flash, and so she's just dead. That the result of not having control for even a little bit of time against Blitzcrank, especially when you run a no flash Janna, is this: you're dead if you get caught. And if he gets bush control, he has a huge zone that he's in charge of, because you don't want to get grabbed by him. So it's just what you have to do against him is get bush control. Without it, it does no good. And we're trying to show him walking into the brush, and now he's disappeared in the brush. And so you need it. She comes back and she wards it. Oh, that was the first ward, and it gets her killed. And she'll come back and ward that immediately because they don't want to lose blitz or bush control again. So grants 300 gold to the carry. Sad day. Lost bush control. 4. Last hitting at tower. When you are last hitting at the tower, it's a skill. You can learn it in custom games, in bot games. It's harder with bot games because they usually you push them because bots are not very good. But you have to learn this skill. I would probably go a 2v1 custom game, let them push, and just practice this. Because as you can see, he was doing really good in farming, and now it's going to get to the lane, and he's going to miss quite a bit of CS at the tower. So Tristana, by pushing with her explosive shot, is going to deny Urgot all 4 of those last ones. It's just he can't get them. It's hard to farm under your tower. You make a little mistake and it kind of spirals. So there we're going to show that he's at 29. There's 4 minions and they're all cleared. He's still at 29. And the second time it happens is here he goes again. And he's getting forced back to the tower. There's not much he can do. He trades with Tristana a little bit, and this time he does a much better job. He's going to get a lot of these and not miss as many. And so that's a good thing for him, is when can you do a good job of farming under your tower, because this is what can help you whenever you get pushed or whenever you're not in the best position to get ahead in the game, to stay in a game, and to counter their aggressive style. So here he's at 41, and this is the first wave, and he gets up to 46, so he was able to clear 5 of them. And here he's at 49, and he's able to get 3 of the next wave, and that was a lot better than missing all those. So the 64 from the 3rd attempt, and it's quite a big wave, but this one has a different moral. This one, they chase out and he gets a 300 gold kill. So was it worth losing those? Yes, it was about 200 gold if he'd gotten all of them, and he hadn't gotten all of them yet. And number 5, stealth. Evelyn is a stealth champion, and with the remake you're going to be seeing her. You're going to be seeing her quite a bit. She has an ability called Shadow Walk, and she fades away, and she's stealth, and she can run through wards, and she's not seen, and she surprises you and comes on top of you. So here is when stealth goes wrong for you. They'd only bought in sight wards, the green ones. They had no vision wards, the pink ones, just the other kind. And they're going to get caught for it. Evelyn's kind of a moving ward, and Urgot's going to get grabbed, and Evelyn is right there in position. She knew he'd walked in there, and they knew they could catch him in the brush. And so, what do you do about it? What can be done? And here's what you do. So, and the first example is him getting caught. Look at all that ward. They couldn't see anything. Blitzcrank's coming in. Why would Blitz just be charging a level 5 Urgot? Well, you have an invisible level 4 Evelyn there. That's what you do to get an easy kill for Tristana, and that's Tristana's second kill. So, what do? Urgot bought a pink ward. That vision ward. If Evelyn tries to sneak up on him, he'll see her. So now when he bases, you have a pink ward. Evelyn is not there. They also know that you don't have a ward in the brush. Gianna goes and gets a pink ward. This is countering the jungler that's invisible. This is later in the game. I should have shown the time frame, but she buys another pink ward later. And what happens when you had the pink ward? Well, they had just picked up that kill on Blitzcrank, and they're going to see Evelyn, and he's able to lock on. And even though she's invisible, the lock on works such that he did a decent amount of damage to her. So Evelyn, Tristana, Nautilus leaves. They see Nautilus leave. They've got that tri-brush warded, and they're going to try to move into position to take out Urgot if they can do it. He's going to get these three farm, and Evelyn's going to try to sneak up. So what happens when Evelyn sneaks up on a pink ward? Well, this happens. So if you watch closely, here she's going to go running in between the two brushes to get in position. And he's going to lock on, the Howling Gale hits, and he's got blue buff. That's what happens when you counter a tactic with the right counter. So there's the pink ward vision. Here's her coming back. They lock on, and it's a fairly easy kill. She's just not that strong. And you can blow her up. You just have to be able to see her. So vision ward closer, don't ward out as far as you usually do. Golden items. This is kind of who's winning and who's ahead, and it's something to check throughout the game. You want to see how am I doing? Well, 2663 to 2945, you're down 300. It's the 2 kills. And you've got, later in the game, you won by 500, 4522 to 4000. And when you look at your items, you've got your Glacial Shroud. He doesn't have anything but a Vamp Scepter. Therefore, the laning phase is over, a tower's down, and you are in just prime position to win this game. You're just up by so much gold. Your support's doing a lot better than their support. And I mean a lot better. More so than yours, but Urgot's job is to hold an 80 carry down. It's not necessarily to get huge. It is nice when you get fed and you can get items, and he has decent items. The Glacial Shroud's a very good skill to go into mid-game with, but the most important part of this is he takes Tristana and says, here's your Berserker Greaves, Double Door, and a Vamp Scepter. That's all you have. So good luck winning this game, because I've shut you down and I have the Glacial Shroud. You can't fight me. I'm working on my Brutalizer, which will come before you're able to upgrade to a BF Sword. And that is what you do as an anti-AD and where your golden item goal is when you're laning and you're trying to anti-lane them. 7. Strange Behavior. In this game, the biggest thing to notice was, the biggest time I noticed the strange behavior is this trade. This trade comes out, and that's fine, they're both full. But Tristana really suffers from the trade. She takes about a third or half her life, something like that. Just quite a bit, almost half. And all of a sudden, after a trade like that, she's coming at you. Why is she coming at you? She's staying in there pretty extended. If you lock on again, you probably have her, and Blitzcrank wants to fully engage. Why would Blitzcrank do that? He did that because Evelyn's in position. So when they're acting way too aggressive, and it's not really low elo play where they're just dumb, then they're probably trying to kill you. So with that trade, why does Tristana come back and Blitzcrank and try to fully engage? Well, Evelyn's there. So it's a 3-on-2. So you need a back out, and he responds properly. Instead of going for a kill, he backs on out and saves himself. 8. Sacrificing yourself. As a support, you can sacrifice yourself to save your carry, and it is a good move. It is not a good move to sacrifice yourself to go into a hopeless situation and not save anybody. But when you can run in the opposite direction of your team and save more valuable team members, like the AD carry doesn't want to sacrifice for the support, but the other way works. And when he runs backwards, Tristana's safe. There's nothing they can do to catch Tristana, or Blitzcrank is safe. So when they turn around to get that kill, you've just saved your teammate. And when you do that, you can stop double kills, you can make sure your carry stays into the game, and as a support, your number one job is to get your carry fed. And so by hooking backwards, they're able to make sure that most of the people stop chasing, and Gangplank can't realize he's not going to catch Tristana by himself. He needed his team, so they're able to pick up the kill. And 9, Dragon. You do Dragon every time your team has an advantage that allows you to do Dragon. You get Dragon enough, you win the game. So what happens is Darius is still top, they have vision of him, Blitzcrank is dead, and when they're going out to Dragon, they have 4 people there. If they only had 2, you'd have to hurry over. But with 4, you can finish up your farm for a second. So take the rest of your farm, make sure you don't miss too much, and go do Dragon, because you picked up an extra 100 gold and did it. If you were the main source of damage, you would have had to rush over. But in this particular instance, he wasn't. That's why that was okay to do that. And Dragon's worth, I think it's 190 gold a piece, and you get a decent amount of experience for it. And as you can see, there are 5 members there from your team, and 1 dead and 1 top, so that means they can respond with 3 people. That is when you could do Dragon. Obvious number advantages. 10, basing when they push. And when you base when they push, it can lead you to giving up towers and objectives. So you have to be careful. Why are they pushing? Well, you're winning pretty hard, so they're pushing because right now Urgot's low life. But also, they could probably take this tower at this point in the game as long as you go back. And Urgot's mostly basing because he didn't have mana, and he had the blue buff, so there was no real reason to wait there. Wait for Nautilus to come, call for help, but by basing there, they just gave up the tower with no resistance. And with that much life on both Janna and Urgot, and the way they'd been winning these trades, they could have defended the tower. I don't think Blitzcrank and Tristana had any chance of diving them successfully. And so you give up your tower. It's not the end of the game, but it does end the laning phase. But Tristana wasn't ready to end the laning phase, so it really didn't hurt him too bad. Anyhow, that'll do it for this game. Thank you for watching, and I hope to see you again. Good luck in your matches.